Today, it is the McKinnon Family Funeral Home in Acton. But 90 years ago, this was the humble beginning of what we now call the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 197. Archivist with the Esqueezing Historical Society, John Mark Rowe.
The beginnings of the Legion, pretty much the same in most small towns. The veterans came back and they needed a hand up. And so they formed the Great War Veterans Associations. And so that's the precursor of the Royal Canadian Legion. And so these men got together and tried to do things to help each other out. So one of the things they did in Acton was the group purchased Sunderland Villa, which was the home of the Story family, who owned Story Glove manufacturing. So people who don't know, Sunderland Villa today is the funeral home in Acton, right on Mill Street. And so they purchased that as a home for veterans and set it up so that veterans who didn't have a place to go or needed recovery, of course, they didn't know about PTSD and things like that, and so they could recover there. And then it evolved into a hotel where the funds for that were raised with the hotel went to the Veterans Association as well for a little while, and then eventually it was sold to the funeral home. So one of the things that they wanted was a cenotaph, a memorial, and they had one made, a granite block of their own, to commemorate the people who had died in the First World War. They did it rather quickly. I don't think everybody's on there, and they put that on the lawn of Sunderland Villa, of the funeral home.
The Great War Veterans Association would eventually evolve to what the Royal Canadian Legion is today. And in March 27, 1931, the Charter 197 was granted. Royal Canadian Legion Branch past President Peggy Graham.
Beardmore Company, which was a large tanning company in Acton, allowed the use of their arena clubhouse rent-free. J.M. MacDonald managed Beardmore and became the branch president after the first year. The first president was Billy Gould. They expanded by purchasing the Lance building for $500, where they stayed for 30 years. This is the building that was on Main Street North in Acton. Our Ladies Auxiliary received their charter on September the 8th, 1945, and last year celebrated 75 years. On November 11th, 1949, they added 2 new stones to the cenotaph downtown with the names of the World War II veterans on it. October in 1973, the sod was turned for the building on Wright Avenue.
So here on Wright Avenue, the Legion sits, serving as an historical monument that continues to play an active role in giving back.
The Legion is a really important part of the community. It always has done a lot of community service and community work, and the important part of the Legion existing for 90 years, most of the veterans are, with the exception of young veterans, Afghanistan veterans, etc., are deceased now, and it's very important that we as members of the Legion, most of them are associate members who have had a relative who have been in the war, or that have served. So it's very important that we keep the memory alive.
And keeping the memory alive is what the Esqueezing Historical Society also hopes to achieve through their archives at the Halton Hills Public Library.
Here we are in the archives, and I will show you some of the newspapers that I said provided a really good record. So, for instance, here's a centennial edition of the Acton Free Press from 1974, when the town celebrated its 100th anniversary. And there's a couple of things in here about the Legion. There's a lot of different things in here, but for instance, here's an ad down here, Branch 197. Salutes Acton, so 1931 to 1974, with the different presidents there. So in here, this is our part of the archives that is cooler, and we can keep the door closed and protect the items that are in here. So here's a history written in 1981 of the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 197. And we also have a history for the 25th anniversary from 1956. So, different, there's 1977, 1972, 2016. So if anyone has these sitting around the house and they don't know what to do with them, you can donate them to the Squeezing Historical Society, and then people who do research in the future will have a full collection to look at.